For the course of the weekend, I had some fun. Friday night, I was out and about at the Rotary Club in Lowell, and we talked about that. But Saturday, I was at BMW Motorcycles
Nice.
On 60th and South Division. And I met some interesting people, including this gentleman that I wanted to visit with. And I told him, I said, I do a show from 5 to 10 in the morning. Can I call you? I don't want to call you too early. What time do you get up? 4 o'clock. Gets up at 4.
It's when the world starts.
That's right.
We're visiting, hopefully, with Phil Mann. Phil, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Phil. How are you today?
Real good.
How old are you,
Beautiful
Phil?
day in Michigan.
Yes, it is.
Hey, Phil, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
82.
82 years of age.
Fancy.
Now, I met you because they said, there's a couple of interesting guys here today. We're celebrating Bob Burns' birthday. We did this over the weekend. They had a big cake for him and everything. There was free food. It was Spring Fling Day at BMW Motorcycles, right?
Nice.
And after World War II, after the war, when BMW quit making airplanes, that's what the logo is on a BMW. That's the sky. It was the blue. And then the white is the horizon, or the other way around. But they made airplanes. After that, they started making motorcycles. And we've got a dealer in town for 25 years, and they were celebrating all things BMW, and they had an 87-year-old gentleman named Bob Burns that still rides. He rides his BMW, and he switched over in 1950 to BMW, and they said, who else is here? And I said, no. And they said, Phil Mann is here. And I went, well, that's interesting. What's Phil do? And Phil is a member of, the Iron Butt Club, first and foremost.
What?
Right? What's the Iron Butt Club, Phil? What is the Iron Butt Club, Phil?
Well, it's 11,000 miles in 11 days.
Yeah. Oh.
It's an association that riders come from Australia, Europe, all over just to compete in it. You have to have some kind of a more or less professional record to be even accepted into it.
Wow.
And you've done that? You've ridden in the Iron Butt Club, or I know you
3 times.
Yeah, 3, Tony.
3
Slacker.
times,
Right.
11,000 miles in 11 days. But then they also told me that he said there's this guy in California, and you think motorcycles, okay, you can ride year-round California. All right, I get it. But the guy every year BMW has a competition to see how many miles you can ride in 6 months, and the previous records was held by a gentleman in California. Is that right, Phil?
Yeah, Joe Mandeville.
Okay. And
the year before me, he did 102,000 miles in 6 months. It goes from the 15th of April for 6 months.
And this is highly regimented. This is very much documented. You can't kind of fudge or cheat or whatever. I mean, this is a big deal. And they said if you're going to try to beat this guy's record, you got to beat it by more than 100 miles or so, because otherwise people are going to say, well, your odometer, this or that. How many miles did you beat the previous record holder by?
Well, I did 113,205 miles.
What?
I bettered him by 10,000 miles.
Wow.
113,000 miles in 6 months.
Holy moly.
And the funny thing is, when he got all said and done and they gave him the honors, the award, the accolade, he said, okay, the contest is over. I got to drive back to Michigan 2,500 more miles. I love that part of it, man.
Oh, boy.
So now where did you start and where did you end up, Phil?
Well, I started right here in Cedar Springs.
Okay.
And the first day of the contest, I circled Lake Michigan.
Whoa.
I had painted on my speedometer the average mile of Joe from California, and I says I have to better that
that
every day.
And what was that?
That was, gee whiz, I don't remember, 500 and something.
And you told me you rode 637 miles a day.
Yeah.
637 miles.
That was my average.
Okay.
I bettered 1,000 miles like 18 times.
Boy, I bet you met a lot of crazy, fun people
Imagine
along the way.
driving 1,000 miles in a car, let alone 1,000 miles on a motorcycle in a day.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, that was, I was dedicated to do it the first 3 months. I had 60,000 miles in. I did 20,000 miles a month, and I was physically burned out. I just told my wife, I says, I'm all done. I don't need to do this. I'm wearing out tires like they're made out of
Nothing.
bubble gum.
Right.
You know. And she told me, she says, listen, fella, you quit now. You don't come back next year and try and do it, or the year after.
That's right.
She says, I'll back you 100% this year. But if you quit, you're all done.
Get her done. Get her done.
How long you been married, Phil?
I was married better than 50 years. My wife passed 4 years ago.
Well, you know, the interesting thing is one of the things I learned about BMW motorcycles is that they have a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty. And Phil told me, he said they used to have unlimited mileage on the warranty because of people like him, they changed the warranty. He put 100,000 miles on a bike in 1 year, is what he told me. So he said now they say 36 years, or it's 3 years, 36,000 miles. But man, you love your bike, don't you, buddy?
Oh yeah, I have 4 BMWs.
Okay. And you said you like you like one particular model because you bend over. It's got the perfect shape because if you're sitting upright and you hit a bump or a bunch of bumps, it's going to compress your back, right?
Yeah, the typical motorcycle like the Harleys or whatever, when you're sitting with your feet forward, your back is vertical. And you hit a bump and it's right up your back. Well, my model's the GT is leaning ahead just a little bit to the point that you hit a bump and your back flexes and it doesn't take the strain.
Wow.
He's Phil and he's 82 and he's ridden more than any other human in 6 months.
Phil Mann, he rode 113,000. How many miles, Phil? 113,000. How many?
205.
113,205. What'd they give you for that? Like cushion? You know, one of them inflatable donuts?
I got a plaque and presentation at the next national rally.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, it was in the BMW magazine.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Nice spread.
Hey, Phil, you must have had in 6 months, you must have had some inclement weather, right?
Some, yes, not very much. I kind of watched, there was a time in Tennessee when I was at my brother-in-law's. I took off in the morning and I ended up only riding 11 miles that day because the weather was so bad.
Yeah, the hell with that, right? Mm-hmm. But you know what? One of the things that he told me in the store, I said, God, I have to have you on the radio. You're an interesting character. One of the things you told me is when you, I forget what state it was, California or Arizona, where you stopped into a shop where you thought the previous record holder rode out of, that he was, that was his home base, right?
Yeah, San Diego. I had a gas filter plug up north of Flagstaff. I carried a spare with me.
Sure.
And I put that in while I stopped at the shop in San Diego.
And what'd you say?
Get a new filter.
Yeah.
And I asked the counter man. I says, "Does Joe Mandeville ride out of this shop?" And he says, "Yeah." I says, "Well, you tell him there's an old guy from Michigan got his record beat, and I still got 2 weeks to go."
That's right.
Don't get cocky, man. Don't get cocky.
You tell him.
Well, hey, Phil, number one, congratulations on your achievement, your love of motorcycles, and being ambassador for the sport. 113,205 miles in 6 months. I would imagine, this is going to be a tough one to beat, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't... Nobody's come close to it since then.
Phil, did you ever get to meet Joe Mandeville? You ever met him face to face?
Yes, I did. We were up in Alaska at Hyder's Seek, and we had a listing of the riders that were going to be there, and as it was, I was sitting at the table. My brother and 2 other riders went with me, and we sat down there, and I hadn't met Joe before, and he actually sat down at the table right across from me.
What are the odds?
And we're talking back and forth, and I says, "What's your name?" He says, "Joe Mandeville."
Oh.
I reached out and I says, "Joe, I want to shake your hand." I says, "You set the bar pretty high." He shook my hand and he says, "What's your name?" I says, "Phil Mann." He got that look on his face that, "You dirty SOB," And actually, the last time I seen him, when we left Hyder, we were down and stopped at a gas station, and we were talking there. And there were only 2 of us in the whole country that did over 100,000 miles in 6 months. So,
That's
I mean,
nice.
that's a pretty small group.
I'm surprised you guys were seated. I would think you'd stand a lot. You know?
Curse you, Joe!
Hey, well, that's a good story. It's my
Nice.
feel-good story of the day. It's
you.
wonderful to see you so active and so alert. And so dedicated. And, you know, special thanks to your wife. May she rest in peace, because she convinced you to go onward. Maybe she just didn't want you to come home. I don't know. But still, you finished, and now you've set the bar. And right here in Cedar Springs, Michigan, ladies and gentlemen, riding a BMW, it is Phil Mann, who
Yay,
rode 113,205 miles, as documented, in 6 months. And then when the contest was over, 2,500 miles home to Cedar Springs. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Thank you, Phil.
All right, buddy.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks for visiting with me.
All right, buddy.
Betcha.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you to stick around just so you can enjoy some Bachman Turner Overdrive. Let It Ride is the name of the song. You don't have to do that. Thanks, Phil. Take care,
Thanks,
buddy.
Phil.
See you around.
Goodbye.
PTO, Let It Ride. Tony Gates Morning Show, Classic Ride 97 LAV. Thanks to Blaine Camp. We had such a good time Saturday. He's the GM of BMW Motorcycles, 60th and South Division. Thanks. Fun time. They had Sloppy Joes, man, with pickles and coleslaw
Sloppy
optional. You could
Joe.
have some coleslaw on your Sloppy Joes,
sweet
which is a
pickle.
good way. Portion of the show brought to us in part by Harvey Automotive, Cadillac, Lexus. They took in some more convertibles, and they got a beautiful Honda Coupe. I mean, a really nice one with low miles. Something for everybody. Thrifty lot, Lexus lot, Cadillac lot. Take a look online. No pressure. HarveyAutomotive.com.